Motor City, we've been around for 80 years. That's like 560 in dog years.
To say thank you to our loyal customers, it's employee price for all. You pay what we pay. Our way of celebrating Colorado's 150th anniversary and America's 250th birthday.
American value for American values. You pay what we pay. Right, boys?
That's right. Only at the original Phil Long Ford store.
Good morning, crew. It is Friday. Hey-oh, it is July 10th. I am Matt Meister. You are on Peaks to Plains Weather, and this is Mornings with Meister. We do it every Monday through Friday morning, live at 6:30 until we're done. So thanks for joining us here early this morning. I'm going to start off with the Aspen Acres Fire, as we have been doing here for the last number of days now, for about at least a week and a half, maybe getting closer to 2 weeks than that. So we'll start off here giving you a look at where things were yesterday. On the northeastern quadrant of the fire, we did have an area that got about 1/10 of an inch to a little bit more than a 1/2 inch of rain in a couple spots. This is radar estimated. There was a flash flood warning in effect for the fire, of course, and that's a threat again today with some of the thunderstorms that we have expected in the area. The flash flood watch is up from noon until 8 o'clock. I think the most likely window to catch some storms looks to be about 2 until 6 o'clock. And there is a threat for some severe weather today, in particular in the southeastern corner of the state. We will come back to that here in just a little bit. I want to take you now to the Aspen Acres Fire and at least give you this window of when the storms are most likely. It's tough to pinpoint exactly where the storms will be, but you see that there will be some in the area. And again, I'm kind of watching between 2 and 6 for the storms to be overhead. Certainly the strongest storms today, and I think the heaviest rain is off to the east of the burn area and the ongoing fire, but it is something that we'll watch here. And as you've learned over the last couple of days, the threshold that is being used to issue flash flood warnings is only 1/4 of an inch of rain, so it just doesn't take a lot to cause some concerns in the issuance of some flash flood warnings, and that will be the case here for the foreseeable future. But this is our last day of storms before we transition to some hotter and some drier weather here as we move through at least, I think, the middle part of next week locally. So when it comes to the Aspen Acres Fire, it's really good that we've had some good news for the last couple of days. There hasn't been a lot of significant growth over the fire, certainly in the last 36 hours. And even over the last couple of days, the latest update is just over 96,000 acres. There has been a little bit of creep kind of on the western edge of the fire. Containment now is up to 20%. That's good news. So the creep has been kind of up the hillsides west of Highway 165. You can see that here off to the south of San Isabel and then to the north of there as well. But these aren't like huge runs on the fire. So that is good news. The crews are just doing a fantastic job getting in there, continuing to do some work. And there are some people that were under evacuation status that are in the process of getting back into their homes, turning to pre-evacuation status through the day today. I know that's the case for Fremont County, and there are going to be some areas that are released in southwest Pueblo County as well. Smoke, because the fire hasn't been burning as much, there hasn't been as significant smoke the last couple of days. I know you've noticed that as well, and I think that'll be the case out there today. Now, we do have concerns heading through the next 5 to 6 days or so, because we are going to be hotter and we are going to be drier, which is why the crews still are actively working to reinforce the lines that they have out there, the dozer work that you've heard of, the hand crews out there reinforcing everything. The good news, though, on the large scale is that the pattern next week, even though we're going to be dry, doesn't have significant wind like when the fire first started. So that's some good news. All right, let's check in with you guys here early this morning. Jennifer is saying happy Friday. I agree with that. Have a big wedding in the family this weekend, so there's the rehearsal tonight out at Grandma and Grandpa's ranch. We're excited about that. Weather's looking pretty good for that. Richard says, good morning, all. Richard, thanks for starting your day with us here at Peaks to Plains Weather. Sure do appreciate that. Check in with a couple other folks here in the chat early this morning. Ooh, it looks like my other chat stream is down. So let's talk about what's happening out there as we get our day underway here early this morning. And I'm going to start you off on the western slope. We'll begin in Rifle, where, there are other fires burning across the western U.S. and across our state as well. It's 53 degrees there. You see that the sun is up in a big way. Trinidad, want to say good morning to you here as we start off our Friday. We've got a 53 as well in Trinidad this morning. And in Pueblo, we are sitting at 57. The humidity is high. That's something that's going to play a role in the forecast here as we head through the afternoon, because we've started to drop the dew points over the mountains, but there's still quite a bit over the eastern plains. In fact, in Lamar this morning, it's 60. That's significant low-level moisture in eastern Colorado, and that's why the humidities are up over the plains. In fact, there's some areas of some low clouds and even some fog out across far eastern Colorado as well. But you notice Saguache, Montrose, Durango, in the cool part of the day here, the relative part of humidity is relative to the temperature, but in the 40s is pretty low here as we start off the day. Temperature-wise, we are as cool as 42 in Salida and Gunnison. That's also a sign we're drying the atmosphere out. And then you see Lamar's matching the dew point, which is why we have some fog out over the eastern plains. So that's where we sit here as we start off our Friday. We jump into our short-term forecast, and I am going to start off with a look at the severe weather reports from Thursday, because, man, we had a really, really good line of gusty wind making thunderstorms that rolled across the area. In Pueblo at the airport, we got a 67 mile per hour gust. And in Lamar, we had a 66 mile per hour gust. So getting between 60 and 70 is nothing to sneeze at. And just on the other side of the state line in Weskin, a 75 mile per hour gust. And you see that there was a cluster of wind reports up across east central Colorado and west central Kansas along Interstate 70 as well. So these storms, like we knew would be the case, got stronger as they moved east of the Front Range. And I think we see a similar evolution of things today. There may not be as noticeable of a line. I'll let Skyscan come back through here. Notice how as we hit the kind of late part of the afternoon and early part of the evening, a real significant line developed there. I think today we get a little bit more cellular nature, and so there's a little bit more of a hail threat today than what we had yesterday. But as we widen the view here, you can see off to our northwest, we don't have the mid and upper level moisture that we've had visible with clouds the last couple of days. We've really cleared out here up across Utah and northwestern Colorado. So that shows us that we're starting to bring drier air in that's going to change our forecast. But the dew points as we move through the morning into the afternoon, while we drop them some as the atmosphere starts to mix up, there's certainly enough water in the atmosphere for storms to use for a straight line wind threat. And like I said, maybe a hail threat in the southeast corner. And so, a severe storm I can't rule out in Colorado Springs and Pueblo. I just think it's more likely the farther south and east you are today as we head through our afternoon. So one more day of the action before we start to calm things down. And here's how it should play out. There might be an isolated, high-based, gusty-type storm over the mountains that maybe produces enough rain to wet the ground or something like that. But it's really our eastern slopes of the mountains and then certainly out across the plains where, as I take you into the back part of the afternoon, you're going to notice the storms get stronger. So you can see that here on Skycast. And, can't rule out a storm on I-25, obviously. Probably more likely in Walsenburg and Trinidad to catch a severe thunderstorm warning today than in Colorado Springs or Pueblo. But just to the east of the cities, that's certainly a possibility as the storms will pick up some oomph pretty quick. And notice as we move into the back part of the afternoon toward and past dinner, that Skycast has more sort of individual cells versus that line I showed you yesterday. And so that's why I don't think there's as large of a, you're going to get this wall of wind moving across the plains like we had on Thursday. But these individual cells, while they could produce some wind gusts between 60 and 70 miles per hour, could also produce some hail between an inch and 1.5 inches in diameter. And these things are going to last for a while for those of us in the southeastern corner, which means we could get some decent rain today too. and we'll certainly take that. We'll keep our eye out for some new grass fire starts. We've had a few of those over the last several days as well. And then as we head into early Saturday morning, we're kind of watching for things to be on the decrease, but maybe some lingering showers. Ahead of the storms today, 80s and 90s. Do it for the high temps. Unless you're up above about 7,500 feet, we'll find temps in the 70s. You can get the detailed forecast, the high temp, the hourly forecast for where you are in the Peaks to Plains weather app. Saturday is going to be a little bit warmer than today. So mid-90s across the eastern plains on the Arkansas River, out near the Kansas line, around 90 in the Springs. If you're heading up to Denver for something, we'll be in the mid-90s, and we'll even flirt with 90s in the mountain valleys. And so it's different tomorrow in the sense that we get these potential for some high base storms with some cloud buildups, only one or two of them. It's a dry stretch that's starting. And as the high pressure changes and moves up to the northern plains of the United States, notice how Sunday those clouds are moving from east to west. And that's opposite of how the flow usually is. And so we'll be pretty toasty on Sunday as well. It is the start of a stretch here of drier weather for us. It doesn't mean the monsoon isn't active. I just don't think it's over us. And we'll talk about that with our extended forecast coming up here in a little bit. All right. Julie says, have a fabulous Friday, everybody. I agree with that. And Green Bay Barb got some rain yesterday. She got 1/10 of an inch. That's good news for you. And Isaac is checking in, and Isaac wrote a song for Peaks to Plains weather. I think what we will do is kind of edit up a video summary of the Aspen Acres Fire, and we are going to use Isaac's song for that. And I will do that, I think, early next week. I'm going to be I'll do the morning forecast Saturday and Sunday, but I'm going to kind of do that and then step away and try to work some shorter days just because the last couple weeks have been really, really long. And my niece is getting married, and we're all participating in the wedding, so, we've got to celebrate. And Green Bay Barb also says, what I wouldn't give for a couple days of 70 degrees. That sounds nice. Unfortunately, we don't have that in the forecast. We'll take a short break, and we'll be back with the extended forecast right after this on Mornings with Meister on Peaks to Plains Weather.
Another attorney commercial with big promises? Millions of dollars, practicing law 24 hours a day, blah, blah, blah. Let's get rid of the smoke and mirrors. None of that really matters. What does matter? Having a medical doctor as your attorney. That matters.
This is John May, General Manager of Petrale Roofing, up on another customer's roof doing a free 21-point inspection. If you'd like us to take a look at your roof, give us a call today, 719-375-8773. We'd be happy to take a look and see the condition of your roof. Petrale Roofing, we're a Diamond certified TAMCO installer, which means we can offer a industry-leading 25-year workmanship warranty to give you peace of mind in the storm. Call Petrale Roofing, 719-375-8773. Schedule your free inspection today.
Emergencies are unpredictable, but you don't have to be unprepared. Peak Alerts sends you targeted emergency alerts in real time for evacuation orders, law enforcement activity, missing persons, and more. Choose up to 5 locations that matter to you, like home, work, and school, so you know what's going on and what to do next. It's free, easy to set up, and designed to keep you in control. Know first, act fast. That's the power of Peak Alerts.
I'm Catherine.
And I'm Dewey, here with another WaterWise tip.
During summer, do you know why we water up to 3 days a week?
To make the best use of me.
Exactly. It builds deeper, stronger roots and makes your lawn more resilient.
Also, use the cycle and soak method. Try shorter cycles with breaks in between to reduce runoff.
And in spring or fall, you can water 1 or 2 days per week. Be WaterWise and your lawn will thrive.
Now that's WaterWise. Learn more at csu.org/WaterWise.
Being water-wise is going to be important here as we head through the weekend into next week with the heat that we have on the way. But we aren't going to have the hottest air over the country. I want to take you through the next couple days here and show you across the northern parts of the U.S. are going to get some of their hottest air of the year, eastern Montana up into the Dakotas, because that's where the area of high pressure is going to set up shop. And that ends up changing our flow around the clockwise circulation that you get underneath the high, and is going to help to dry us out here. It is going to help establish the monsoon plume as we move into next week. And that is going to be probably off to the west of Colorado. So you can see here early on Friday morning, we do have some lingering storms here. There's a frontal system that's hanging out across the middle part of the country. That's actually into far eastern Colorado, drops our temperatures a couple degrees here today for some of us out across the eastern plains. This is also the area that we'll watch for the potential for some severe weather today, including eastern Colorado. I think Missouri will be an area that has a little bit more in the way of severe activity compared to some of the rest of the area. And the western United States is really, really quiet in terms of active weather and certainly on a severe threat from some thunderstorms. So as we take what's happening now and start to walk you through the rest of the extended forecast, you can see that as we hit the afternoon here, we're seeing the activity pick up in the areas where we expect severe storms. But notice how the ridge of high pressure is building northward, like I said, over the weekend. It's this clockwise flow that's going to bring drier air into Colorado, push the moisture down to the south here for the weekend. But then as this stays here for the early part of next week, we start rotating the monsoon plume up to the north between this high and an area of low pressure off the coast of the northwestern United States. And so we will get some storms working up across Utah, across Nevada, and there's a nice little tap here of moisture on the west side of this high. I just think it's a little bit too far west to do anything for us here. Maybe we get a couple storms in western Colorado. We need those for sure. But I think the thicker moisture, the more significant storms are probably out of the area as well. Then as we head into the back half of next week, let's say, we start to see the high over the northern plains break down a little bit and it starts to reestablish itself off to our southwest. And as that happens, we'll recirculate the moisture underneath this thing and we will probably trend toward being a little bit cooler and start to have the chance of some storms in the forecast. So after today, if you don't get any moisture, it's going to be dry for a while and pretty toasty. We'll be kind of on either side of 90 and probably above it most days in Colorado Springs. And then you can see the numbers start to come down a little bit and we get the chance of some storms. Not going to get overly specific with that because it's a long ways away and I want to see the quality of the moisture, and unfortunately our ability to do that this far out is, obviously limited, but we certainly can recognize the pattern here. So in the mountain areas, after a drier stretch, we'll start to have more thunderstorms around on a daily basis here as we head toward next weekend, and we'll hope that we can get some out over the plains as well. The good news with this is it doesn't look like a complete total scorcher in southern Colorado, so I don't think we're looking for, like 105s and 106s like that. So it could be worse in terms of a drier stretch. And also it doesn't look like we're going to have a lot of large scale gusty type wind to go with this as well. So all things considered, we'll take it from a fire weather perspective. But certainly the drier atmosphere could have the potential to make, the afternoons a little more conducive to fires growing. So it's something we'll watch on the front lines. But I'm really, really impressed with what all of the crews have done this week on the Aspen Acres Fire, and they really have made some good progress. Erica's checking in, says going to be a great Friday. Happy Friday. Cindy says good morning. Cindy, thanks for watching Peaks to Plains Weather. We appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you being part of what we are doing here as well. And thank you for that. And we'll encourage you, as always, to try to tell one or two people about Peaks to Plains Weather today. That's it for me. I am going to wrap up some stuff. I have got to go do some physical activity today. I got to go for a run, or I got to go to Orange Theory. That's where I go work out. I've got to do something today. I feel that I haven't in the last couple of days. So hope you have a chance to do something fun today as well. I hope you have some good plans for the weekend. Hug your loved ones. It's been a week of some high impact weather, some in terms of fire stuff. I had an opportunity to go down into the fire earlier this week and see some of the devastation. And, while you see that and how quickly things were changing in the first few days, also to have the opportunity to see the work that the firefighters have done is just incredible. And I know there's been lots of long hours from our local, fire departments, sheriff communities, everybody that works in counties and works in nonprofit organizations helping people. There's so much good that comes out of a tragedy too, that it's just amazing to be a part of this fantastic community we call Southern Colorado. So I'm getting sappy now. That means it's time for me to probably wrap up. I appreciate you. I value you. Thanks for being part of Peaks to Plains Weather. Have a great day. Have a good weekend. I am Matt Meister, and this has been Mornings with Meister.
Love your yard with a new outdoor space from F&B Landscaping. From a new build to a new project in an existing yard, we listen and give you the yard you want within your budget. Lawns, water features, xeriscaping. We've got the artistic touch and technical know-how to bring the peak of Colorado outdoor living to your home. Reliable, trustworthy. Visit fblandscapes.com to schedule a free consultation today.